Hello guys, welcome back. My name's Nathan and today we're going to be comparing Kaapo Kakko to Anton Lundell to see who is the better prospect and who will be the better Finnish player in the future. Now 2020 draft prospect Anton Lundell is making an even bigger name for himself so far in his Liga season, and his production is eerily similar to what Kaapo Kakko had last year, and the comparisons are almost uncanny. So who will be the better prospect in their draft year, Kakko or Anton Lundell, and who will be the better player going in the future in the NHL? For all my predictions and more, watch till the end to find it all out. Now I'm going to come out and say it, Anton Lundell is my favorite 2020 draft prospect. There, I said it, okay, it's done. But Anton Lundell, being the best Finn in the 2020 draft, has eerily similar traits and production to Kaapo Kakko in last year's draft. And we saw how much hype he got, almost being the first overall pick to the New Jersey Devils. Anton Lundell could have that same impact. Now, in this 2020 draft that is absolutely stacked, he might not go second overall or challenge a guy like Alexis Lafreniere, but he will be one of the best prospects in the draft. And with the way he is producing right now, it would be hard to see him going outside the top 5. Now Anton Lundell, the Finnish center/left winger, currently sitting at age 18. He turned 18 back in October. Currently sitting at 6'1", 183 pounds. He's been practically dominating the Liga so far in his draft year, just like Kaapo Kakko did last year. Now, currently Anton Lundell is only a few months younger than Kaapo Kakko, so you obviously have to factor that in. But so far, he's been a dynamic beast in the Liga, and once again has been making that hype train even more than it once was. Now currently through Anton Lundell's first 18 games in the Liga season, he's gotten 6 goals, 5 assists for 11 points so far. And if you think that's impressive, then yes, you would be correct, because it is mightily impressive. He is a very old draft prospect, yes, but those point totals coming from a guy that a lot of people didn't see as an offensive dynamo are pretty great. I think it's kind of the contrary. I think Anton Lundell is a guy that doesn't have the flash, he doesn't have the amazing speed, but he gets it done offensively. And is so smart where he doesn't even need to make dekes to get offense done. And we've seen how close it is so far Kaapo Kakko's first few games in the Liga. Now, comparing Anton Lundell to Kaapo Kakko's first 18 games, last year in his first 18 games, Kaapo Kakko had 3 goals, 8 assists for 11 points, while Anton Lundell had 3 more goals and the same amount of points. That's pretty good. But even without the offense, Anton Lundell has been simply incredible. He's been one of the Liga's Corsi leaders, of course, with possession, which isn't too surprising because Lundell is a beast in that department. But the defense is really what Anton Lundell is a great guy at. I would say he's probably the best defensive forward in the draft, though there are a couple of competitors there. He has amazing defensive ability, and I think is the premier two-way guy in this draft. With amazing defensive ability and offense that has been criticized in the past, he's been able to produce as good as Kaapo Kakko, which should not be understated. With how many records that Kaapo Kakko broke last year, right now Anton Lundell is on a great pace and could even break those point totals. Now last year, Kaapo Kakko ended up finishing with 45 games played in the Liga, 22 goals, 16 assists for 38 points. He ended up being a point per game in the playoffs with 5 games played, 4 goals, and 1 assist. Now, I really do doubt that Anton Lundell is going to be able to replicate those numbers. One, because Kaapo Kakko kind of started to get really hot after the kind of November period, so I'm not sure if Anton Lundell will be able to do the same there, but with the way it's going on right now, it's looking super promising. Again, I don't see him getting 38 points in the Liga season, but I think 30 points could totally be reachable. If he continues to get the power play time and continues to get the opportunity in the HIFK, I think Lundell should be able to replicate that. And again, with the offense he has and the amazing defense on top of it, he's one of the most valuable guys in the 2020 draft. And especially with Lundell's offensive ability. Again, as I said before, we've seen a ton of people criticize his skill, saying that it's not top end in the draft. And I don't necessarily disagree with them, But Anton Lundell doesn't need Alexis Lafreniere skill to get the offense done. And that's why I think Anton Lundell is one of the most interesting and possibly one of the most transferable prospects in this draft. A guy that I could totally see being in the NHL next year and quite simply playing fantastic. Because with Lundell, he doesn't need to deke a defense out to score a goal. He can just go right through and use his amazing hockey IQ to blow past defenders and make the right decisions. He is that quick with his decisions, and he usually makes the right ones. We've seen that in the league, we've seen that in the World Championships last year, how he was just so dominant in kind of unorthodox ways. And I think in that department, he'll be a guy that some teams might not want. But to me, if there's any prospect, especially on the European side, that could directly translate that goal scoring, directly translate those points, I would say it's Anton Lundell. And to me, it's not exactly close either. But this past month, my November 2020 mock draft, I had Anton Lundell ranked number 4. But I think Anton Lundell should easily be in the top 3 conversation. He might not be the second best prospect in the draft, or maybe even the third best prospect, but I think he should at least get consideration for that. For how well he's done in Liga, you can't deny him that chance. And again, besides the lack of top-end skill, there's really no reason to have Anton Lundell outside of that. And even without that top-end skill, he's been proving to still produce in the Liga. And even though he is an older prospect, that is still very hard to do. In the top 5 is where I think he should go this draft. If he continues the production he has, I think it should be a no-brainer. Yes, while the 2020 draft is a lot better than the 2019 draft on paper, I think Anton Lundell should get the same respect as Kaapo Kakko so far. And that is high praise coming from the biggest fanboy of Kaapo Kakko out there. I had him as my number 1 prospect in last year's draft. Up until about February, I had Jack Hughes, but then I changed it and went with Kaapo Kakko as my number 1. And to say that Anton Lundell deserves the same respect is kind of crazy at that point, but I think he deserves that type of recognition because he has been that good. And I think will be that good in the NHL. As a premier two-way forward, I'm not sure if he'll be like a Patrice Bergeron or anything, but I think he will be a sort of Mark Stone type, where he can just simply destroy you with hockey IQ, solid skill, and of course have premier, amazing forward defensive ability. But while the point production, I would say, is close between Kaapo Kakko and Anton Lundell, I would say the player styles are a lot more different between the two. And this is where we kind of get in the muddy area of comparing the two, because yes, the points do add up, but the playing styles are almost completely different. To me, Anton Lundell, again, will destroy you with hockey IQ, shut down defensive ability, but Kaapo Kakko is a little bit different. We've seen the NHL so far, his defense has not been the greatest, and the advanced stats do show that. But his offense is still premier, and he will beat that in the NHL someday. But Kaapo Kakko will beat you with premier, amazing overall offensive talent, with great skating, great puck handling, and everything that you'd want in an offensive player. He'll be destroying defenses in the NHL someday, and it's just a matter of time. In the past couple of weeks, he's been simply dominant with the New York Rangers, a lot better than he started out in his first couple of weeks. So I think when it comes to Kaapo Kakko, it's a process in the NHL, and he will eventually get that going, right now being a lot better than he once was. But again, the two players are different. I think Anton Lundell will step into the NHL in a different way than Kaapo Kakko has. And I think that's a good thing also, because you have Anton Lundell, who's the amazing defensive guy, and I think will be that in his first year in the NHL, while Kaapo Kakko obviously prioritizes offense. But while I think, honestly, Lundell takes the cake in defense and physicality over Kaapo Kakko, the offense is a little bit of a different story. Now, firstly, I think the hockey IQ is where Anton Lundell has Kakko beat. I think he's a smarter player, which is saying something, because I think Kaapo Kakko has potentially one of the smartest players in hockey someday. But I think Anton Lundell is just such a smart player and such a fluent and just noticeable player that I think he does it. But when it comes to the overall offensive skill impact, I think that's where Kaapo Kakko kind of takes the edge there. In puck handling, in shot, in passing, in offense generation, I think Kaapo Kakko has Lundell beat. But I obviously don't want to discredit Lundell either, because I think he has a great shot, pretty fantastic passing ability too, that can beat you on any day of the night. And that's what makes it so scary, because with Kaapo Kakko, I think he's going to be fantastic in the NHL, but the overall ability and all the tools that Anton Lundell has should make him another scary Finnish player in the NHL next year, really. I wouldn't even say someday, because it probably will be next season. But going to which player was better in their draft year, and between Kaapo Kakko and Anton Lundell, it really does depend on what you value in a draft prospect. Because if you want a two-way guy that can do everything for you, then Anton Lundell might just be your pick. But Kaapo Kakko, I think, still has the bigger potential for offensive generation, bigger potential for just skill set in the NHL. And while the defense might not be the greatest so far in the NHL this season, I think it will get better. So it really does depend on what you value. If you value just offense purely, or if you want a two-way guy. And the problem with Anton Lundell is that, yes, I see him as a super smart player, but he might not be a guy that reaches 90 or 100 points in his career. I would love to be wrong, but I think around 85, maybe even 90 is his peak in the NHL. And that's somewhat weird compared to guys like Quinton Byfield, Alexis Lafreniere, who I think could get 100 points in the NHL, and quite easily. And when it comes to just pure value of an overall player, I would take Anton Lundell as the better player. But again, that's with everything considered, of offense, defense, and everything. But with the way Kaapo Kakko has played recently in the NHL, a lot better than he did to start out, I'm still going to take Kaapo Kakko as a high-end offensive producer. And again, it's all about what you prefer. For the New York Rangers, obviously, they have Kaapo Kakko, and they love him as they should. But Anton Lundell, I think, will be the more dynamic value player in the NHL someday. Being a center, being a defensive stud, I think he'll bring that to a team that is lucky enough to draft him and, quite frankly, smart enough to draft him. But Kaapo Kakko, I think, will score a lot more points in the NHL. I think still has potential to reach 90, even 100 points someday of the Rangers, if everything goes right. But while Anton Lundell is my favorite prospect in the draft for this year, Kaapo Kakko was my favorite 2019 draft prospect. I don't know what it is with those Finnish players, man. They just do it for me. I can't explain it, but when it comes to both players, again, it's hard to pick one if I prefer one because I freaking love both. But for my preferred pick, I would have Kaapo Kakko. I'm just going to go on it because he's my boy, obviously. But when it comes to Kaapo Kakko, I think he just brings more offensive potential, more offensive powerhouse ability, and I'd rather have him on my team right now. But with Anton Lundell, of how good he's been, he's making it a very, very hard conversation and a very, very hard pick, in all honesty. While I would pick Kaapo Kakko right now, honestly, I would just like both. But with Anton Lundell so far this league season, while he might not be as good as Kaapo Kakko in my opinion, I think he has proved himself to be a top 5 prospect in this draft. If you don't have him in your, at least top 6 or something, with the way he's played, man, I don't know. I just feel like he's just been so productive, so good, and quite honestly, so dominant in the Liga. You gotta give him a little bit more respect in my opinion. I don't know if I'll have a number 3 in my December mock draft or even number 2. I don't think that'll happen, but I think top 5 is where Anton Lundell should go. With the mix of defense, offense, he's a guy that can bring so much to your hockey team in so many ways. But with this video, I need to hear y'all's thoughts down in those comments down below. So for my Finnish friends or anyone out there, let me know down in the comments down below who you prefer between Kaapo Kakko and Anton Lundell. Who do you think is the better prospect in their draft year, and who would you rather have in the NHL someday? But if you guys want some more Grav videos just like this one, y'all should click on this card right here for my November 2020 NHL mock draft and my top 15 prospect rankings. But that'll be it for today, guys. If you guys did enjoy this video, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell if you haven't already. Again, comment down below your thoughts on the Anton Lundell versus Kaapo Kakko debate, who you prefer as a player and a prospect, and who you think will be better in the NHL someday. Share this video also with your friends, anybody you know that likes Finnish hockey, or anybody out there that likes prospects. Get the word out there, boys. The Grav getting almost to 10K subscribers. My name's Nathan, and I'll see y'all in the next video or stream. Goodbye.